Welcome to SVU 408D Entrepreneurship. My name is Felicia Freedied and Aqua. Today we're going to be looking at Managing Resources Unit 4. Specifically, we're going to look at Section 2, Operational Resources, Operating Resources. By the end of this session, you should be able to define operating resources. You should be able to state some fundamental considerations in choosing and improving operational facilities and enumerate some steps to purchase such facilities as well. So we begin by looking at the nature of operating resources. Basically, these are resources that help you run the business, the day-to-day operations, the day-to-day running of the business. These are going to count for it. And so we're saying the entrepreneur must ensure that the venture has the right level and balance of operational resources. Too much is cost for you. Too much may mean that there will be some which is not being used, which is just going to be wasting money, wasting time, and all those things. Too little too means that you won't be able to do much work, and so your work is just going to be just in bits and pieces. And so there's a need for you to have the right balance. And some examples of operating resources is the premises in which you are working. That matters a lot. You realize if you go and take a very large office space or a large manufacturing space, when you are just using some small corner to work, you've incurred a lot of cost and all those things. If the premise, even the aesthetics and all those things come in and they are not too friendly for work, they all impeach how effective your business is. And so these are things you have to really consider. The cars you use, the motor vehicles, these are part of your operational resources because you need them to run the errands. You need them even for your distribution, for picking your raw materials, and all those internal rounds. You need your motor vehicles. If you go and buy a very outdated motor vehicle, everyday maintenance, it is cost to you. If you have 20 fleets of cars, when you use just 5 within the week or something, that is also not the best. If you have a lot of branches you are working with, a lot of workload, and you have just one car as well, you realize that you'd also be limited as to how to operate. And the production machinery you have in there, they also help you in your day-to-day operation of your business. And so if your machinery is also not enough for you, or it's not in the right balance, you're also going to have a lot of deficiencies and effect when it comes to meeting your targets or your goals. And your raw materials are key because you're into business to add value to people's lives, and you're taking raw materials which are going to add value to it. If your raw materials are also not in the right levels, you'd have issues. So if you overstock your raw materials, some may even go bad, some may occupy more space, employees will steal some away as well. And if you have very little raw materials, that means that there will be a lot of shortage. So customers will come, or your wholesalers will come, your retailers will come. They are ready to take the thing, and then we don't have some. Today we don't have, tomorrow we don't have, tomorrow we short, the next day we short. They will find other substitutes. And so raw materials will also have to be in the right balance. Storage facilities matter because you may have a lot of raw materials you may have to keep in storage. There may be work in progress. You've not finished these things. They are still in the value addition chain, and you still have to keep them. Even your finished goods, sometimes you have finished, but then they are not ready to be cleared, or you just want to produce more to benefit from economies of scale. You need places to store them. And so these are all things we need in the day-to-day running of your business. And of course, office equipment. Once you are in the office, you need machines, you need your printer, you need your tables, you need your chairs, you need a lot of office wear to help you out. If you don't have printers and all those ones, when it comes to your correspondence, you realize you'll be found faulty. If you have too many of them which are also not working, or which are not being used properly, to the cost goes down. So these days you even go to places and you realize they have one centralized printer, something. You may have enough laptops and things to work with on your day-to-day operations. So there are some considerations we have to take note of when we are choosing or improving the facilities in which we're working with. You first need to look out for the size of the building. It matters a lot. You need to look out for the construction and external appearances, the signages, All of these matter a lot. If you go for a too big, we made mention, too small, it's also a problem. The appearance matters. You have to be attractive to even you, the entrepreneur, and you have to be attractive to your customers as well. Signage. Sometimes you see some signage or some signboards, and they are telling you go left, and the signboard is also going right. So the building is left, and the signboard is pointing somewhere else. It's pointing north. All of these you need to take care of it. The internal appearance also matters. It should be a place which is work friendly and people can easily feel okay working there. The layout of the machine is also very important. You don't want to end up hurting a lot of people as they are working. And so these days, occupational health and hazard safety and all those things coming there as well. The layout of your machine, they should be well laid out to even improve the workflow rather than to distract the workflow. Now in purchasing, the purchasing process to we're saying that there are some things to look out for. We have expert systems which have been developed for purchasing function. Some include the analyze a problem or the economic ordering level. We have other things that helps you explain the process like documentation, and then sometimes when we make a choice from the selection of your suppliers to these are things you need to look out for. So saying procurement materials, they are key management function for any type of business, and the importance of the role is that for an average manufacturing company spends about half of its income on supplies of raw materials and service, and so it is very important in there. And it says the use of value analysis often makes it possible for considerable savings to be made, though a particular danger is that the quality could be sacrificed for the cost consideration. A successful purchasing department will keep its costs down and produce a fast-track stock turnover and reduce obsolescence and ensure there's continuity of supply and lead time. And so we've seen people now go in for what we call the just-in-time production. So if someone needs it, then they just produce for the person. That reduces a lot of the stock, a lot of the wastages in there. So like I've been making mention from the start, efficiencies are very much needed in here, and too little will cost you, too much would also cost you. And so when you're purchasing, you need to be very careful in there. Sometimes we want to order in large scales to benefit from economies of scales, but that also has its own risk. If you're going to order large scale and you don't have a place to store it, what happens to you? If you're going to order large scale and your employees like stealing or something, what are you going to do? If they are perishables and they are time bound, they are going to have a lot of issues for you. And even how you even document all these things matter a lot. And even whether to do sole sourcing or to go out for many suppliers, they all have consequences in there. And so these are things you need to be very careful when you are doing the purchasing process. So usually when it comes to the purchasing process, for some organizations, they have the procurement and supply chain units, which is just purely for their purchases and procurement issues. But small businesses, they may be just a sole proprietor who is doing virtually everything by themselves. And we're saying that the department actually initiates a request for the goods and services and sends it to the purchasing department. And like I made mention, when it goes to well-established businesses, you have a whole procurement and supply chain department which is handling all those issues in there. And usually we're saying a description of items or materials desired in the various quantities and things are actually sent out to be requested, and they give you invoices which will tell you the various unit costs, the total cost, and all those ones. And based on it, you'd also have to decide on how the award is going to actually be done. You just don't want it to be any way or anyhow. You're going to be answerable for it in the long term. And so when it comes to the purchasing process, first we need to start by first identifying and selecting our suppliers. That is very key. You want to first begin by identifying and selecting your suppliers. So you need, let's say, mangoes for your mangoes production. Where can I get mangoes? Should I go to Somanya in the eastern region? Should I go to Elmina? Where should I go for my mangoes. You need to identify them and select which ones you think would work for you, which ones you think are okay for you. You have to measure the cost as against the benefits when you are doing your selection. And then once you are done, you need to determine who has the best offer of these materials and resources for you. So yes, I've identified that yes, I can get mangoes from here, from here, from here. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself which mango from which place is the best quality, which is the best cost, the price, and all those ones. You need to measure the cost against the benefits. And then when you are done, you have to what? Make an order, which can be either faxed or mail. You order for it, they'll send you an invoice of the numbers you want, how much it's going to cost you, and all those things. And you also give it to your finance people or your accounting people to also make what? The payment on your behalf for you. So this is basically what goes on in the purchasing process. So to sum up in this session, we have explained what is meant by operating resources, some factors we need to consider when we are choosing our facilities, and we looked at the purchasing process and how to acquire our operational resources, which is needed for the day-to-day running of the business. Thank you.